Welcome to the Crazy Creatives. I, D.A. Brandon, along with my co-hosts, BeaDragonia and Isabelle Knight, wanted to create a place where pantsers can come together to learn. We are tired of being told that plotting is the only way to go. We are here to say that it is okay to not plot and plan a story to death before you start writing. If you feel the same, we invite you to join us here every other week on this podcast. In each episode, we hope to share with you how creativity can run wild when you tell a story. Our first episode deals with why we started writing and what it means to us.
Okay, so why do I write? Honestly, I feel like this is a question where I have a million different answers for this. But I think the main reason why I write, although as I've said, I have a lot of reasons, but I do think that one of the main reasons is that as a child, I had always felt very much sort of invisible, I guess, especially since I am homeschooled. English is my first language, and I grew up and live in China, which is not ideal, I'd say. And, I'd always felt very much invisible in society. And so, writing is honestly just a place where I can just be me and I can do whatever I want. I can create any world I want, have my characters go on all these crazy, wild fantasy adventures, and it's really just a place where I can be creative and just be me without worrying about, what other people are going to think.
Sounds good. How about you, DA?
I write because, well, it's an escape from this world, from all the troubles and issues that I have. Because I have so many medical issues, it's just something that I want to do to escape my reality and show other people that when they're having a hard time, they can escape into a world beyond their imaginations to help make them feel better.
Great explanation.
What
Yeah,
about
I
you?
honestly feel the same.
Oh, I write because, like you, I have some medical issues, but mine is all because I'm old. I think this is interesting that we have three different, very different points of views as far as age. I'm in my later 60s. Isabel's just a teen. DA, you're in your 20s going for 30s. So we really represent a wide range of ages here. She's just starting out, you're in the middle, and I've lived most of my life. So I did a whole lot of things. I write now because I'm disabled. I don't get up and move around a lot because I was really, really mean to my body my entire life. So now it's paying me back for all of that wonderful torture I gave it. So I've always told stories. All my life, I've told stories. So now I just sit and write them down.
I get that. Things can be hard sometimes, and just being able to tell the story that's stuck in your brain just makes you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have so many stories stuck in my brain. I have had stories stuck in my brain since I was a child, especially, my first published book series, Enchantria, as I mentioned many, many times before. This was this world and this story was an idea I'd had in my head since I was a very little kid. And, you know, like all of the characters throughout my life, they would just be knocking at my brain, I don't know, sort of hello, we're here, can you write us? And especially Ravenna, I don't know. If for those who don't know, Ravenna's the villain. For some reason, she is a character that has been the most demanding me to write, and it has honestly been sort of a relief to have her finally out of my head, and now she's onto the page, and so she can, I don't know, take over other people's minds, and I just get her out of my own mind.
I kind of get that. For me, I use my emotions to tell my stories. So like at the very beginning of Autumn's Moon, Asher kills a bunch of people. It's because I was so mad that day when I wrote it that the characters just interpreted my brains or like took over my brain, I mean.
Yeah, I get that. Like, yeah.
Well, I guess I have, as my daughter would say, I have a split personality because I have two pen names. So one is an 8-year-old child who writes children's stories for little kids. I take a child's name and I find out from their parents what they're like, what they don't like, their favorite toys, whatever. And I create an entire story just for that kid. And then I try to make sure we get illustrations. As a matter of fact, Isabelle has one that's coming very soon, although she's not as young as most of the stories that I write, children's stories for. Although in the book, she's only about 6-7 years old. So
Yeah, I think 6 or 7 year old me would have loved that, and she would have absolutely loved reading that, and also to know that her pandas were like, I don't know, like they were real characters in a book. Although I didn't have that quite as many pandas when I was 6 or 7. I think at that time I only had to make 4 pandas, and now my collection has grown to 15, and I'm going to see if I can convince my parents to let me grow it to 16. Probably never going to happen, but we can hope.
yeah, my granddaughter Moon is doing all of the illustrations for Isabel's and the Panda Posse book. And that's written by me, of course, but under the pen name Cherry Wright. And I already have 2 books out there, Margot and the Crystal Tower and The Library Door, for sale over on Amazon. And then I'm also, courtesy of the dragon over here, working on another series. Where Have All the Dragons Gone? The first book in the series is out. And I am currently trying to finish the second book. It's been mostly written for quite a while. I'm just having a problem ending it to go to the third book, which is already started too. So yeah, just got to get to the end of book 2 because it all wants to become like this 20 million page book, and it's got to have stops in between.
Yeah, like I get that. I sometimes have trouble ending my stories as well, and like especially in like series, like I normally have a good idea of where the book is going to end, but also there are times when like I end the book, I don't know, at this point, and it's just then try to start the next book, and like it feels wrong. Like I don't know, like my fingers just refuse to write the story because I've ended at the wrong point, and that sort of happened with Enchantria Champion, which is book 3 in the Enchantria series. Like I ended it like in the first draft, I ended it like sort of on at the wrong, I don't know, point in time. Yeah, like I ended it at the wrong point, and I realized, oh wait, I should have ended it here a bit earlier, a few scenes earlier, and this is actually the inciting incident for book 4, which was originally the cliffhanger for book 3.
Well, see, the difference between book 2 and book 3 is my characters need a bit of time to get some things done between the two. So, and it's not that I don't know how it ends because it keeps telling me over and over in the back of my head. But yeah, it's literally doing. I could tell you the story, but that's not the issue. It's literally getting the scene set. It's not the words. It's not the paragraphs. It's not the dialogue. It's setting the scene for everything, and I'm having issues with it.
Well, I know
I am
you are.
not in a courtroom, and that's a spoiler. So yeah, book 2 ends in a courtroom.
I know you are a pantser, not a plotter. So how do you keep up with all that?
Oh Lord, how does anybody keep up with anything? In a day-to-day, you make about a cajillion decisions. Am I going to wear this shirt, that shirt? How am I going to brush my hair today? Am I going to wear flip-flop shorts, tied-up shoes? What's the weather say? What do I want for breakfast? What do I want for lunch? Which show do I want to watch? Which music do I want to listen to? It's all exactly the same in my head as to writing a character because they're all talking back there. It's just whoever's talking the loudest that I listen to at the moment.
I get that.
Yeah, and
so it's not straightening them out. It's listening to whichever one's yapping the loudest.
Yeah.
Right. For me, it is kind of, I have trouble keeping up with everything that's in my brain. So I have to write it down like a reverse outline, um, because I can't keep up with it. But I don't put it, I can't plot in the beginning of the story at all. So I'm completely a total pantser. I just write down what has happened to keep an eye on what has happened so I have an idea of where to go from there. Like characters, I have a blue million character sheets at the moment for Autumn's Moon.
Sorry, thunder. Big flash of lightning and thunder. I'm just waving hi to God. Still here. Leave me be. I'm busy. So, Isabelle, when you sit down to write, what's it like when you sit down to start writing?
Oh gosh, that's.
I know you're currently working on one book.
Yes, Island Keepers. It has been dubbed, sort of jokingly dubbed, the problem child. It's not quite a problem child, but it's certainly been the hardest book I've ever tried to write, and it's been interesting. But for me, yeah. So like, I just like it is honestly, it's kind of hard to explain what it's like when I sit down to write because like on one hand, like there's this part of me that wants that like at the moment, not always, but just at the moment, there's this part of me that wants to avoid writing for as long as I possibly can because this story has given me such grief. It's words cannot explain how hard Island Keepers has been to write, but basically, there's this part of me that has this overwhelming fear of the story and wants to just avoid it. And I actually have avoided it for the past week. And it was only until like last night that like it was honestly kind of just unbearable. Like there was this screaming in my head, sort of. I don't know if anyone else experiences this,
yes.
But maybe it's just me. But there's just like this screaming in my head that's just write me, 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 and it was unbearable. And so I just sat down and wrote something. So it honestly felt like when I finally decided to like sit down and write, it honestly felt kind of, I guess, freeing in a way because finally I got like all of those, a bit of the story out onto the page and it's no longer screaming at me, although of course now the next part of the story is screaming at me. So
it's like pulling the plug out of the bottom of the bathtub. The water starts to go out.
Yes.
The screaming lessons. How about you?
Yes.
DA, when you sit down to write, what do you do?
I have ADHD, so I'm kind of all over the place a lot of the time when I write. But I put on some music because music is the most important thing to tune out the negative voices, but to still hear the good voices in my head that tell me what to say and what not to say. And it helps tune out the rest of the world. So
I
I
agree.
definitely music is the way to go for me. But when I sit down to write, I just try my best to listen to the voices that are screaming at me and telling me what to write and why to write. Um, they, I let my voices dictate what I am doing, where I start, whether it's I'm mixing it up at random points because sometimes, like, say, I've been working on chapter 4 of Autumn's Moon at the moment, and all of a sudden I get like chapter 6, someone yelling at me from that point of view, telling me I need to write this now. So I kind of skip around a lot.
Having
Yeah.
that current problem too. I'm trying to finish book 2. Book 3 is partially done, and book 4 is screaming at me, "Wait a minute, come over here!"
Oh my gosh,
Oh yeah.
yes. I've been having that with like Island Keepers, because right now with Island Keepers, it's very much like just I don't know. I don't know where the story's gonna go. I don't know what the and every time I put a word down on the page, I'm second guessing everything, which is probably why I wrote really well when I was like after I came home from a whole day at IKEA to buy furniture and whatnot. And just, I was dead tired, but the voices at me were screaming, and I was like too tired to even second guess. But like, I've been second guessing a lot, and I really do think that it could help for me to skip around a bit, like jump to the climax and, like figure out all of
Right,
these
what's
pieces,
yelling the
I guess.
loudest first? Yeah.
Yeah, I probably should do that because right now the climax, well, the scenes closer to the climax, not the climax itself, but the scenes closer to the climax are kind of screaming at me, and I've been trying to just write whatever chapter I'm on. I forget, like 7? No, wait, not 7, 15? I don't remember, but anyway, chapter whatever. Anyway, this part after the inciting incident, and it's not going well because so far the middle of the book has been soggy, flat. I have not been able to figure it out.
Marky.
Yes.
So, Isabelle, in a world full of um, being told that plotting is the only way to go, why did you choose pantsing as your way? Have you ever started plotting before?
I never really chose pantsing because when I started out writing, I was 10 years old when I first started writing. And I am homeschooled, but still homeschooled. I followed like the curriculum, and, a lot of the process was like plot, outline, like outline like the I don't know, like the climax and whatnot, like for writing a short story or for writing a non-fictional piece of writing. And it was always outlines, outlines, outlines. And while they might help sometimes, when I first started writing, I was like, this is going to be my book. I don't want to outline. I'll just make it up as I go along. And that was how I wrote Enchantria. And I actually have tried plotting before. I tried plotting with Island Keepers. I
And how's that turning out?
I kid you not, a literal whole like Google Sheets filled with every single scene, every single plot point, like kind of like just literally every single scene, every single big turning point. No, it didn't go well. I tried writing that direction, and I might have killed that version of the story maybe because I tried writing it, and honestly everything just felt very like flat and honestly unalive for me. So
Forced.
yeah, I think yes, very forced. And then I read back because I was about to get to Act 3, and I was like, but Act 2 isn't right. I literally can't write Act 3 because like Act 2 builds up to Act 3. Act 3 sort of, for me, goes off what Act 2 has been building up to, and yet Act 2 I wrote had been just building up to nothing, I guess, sort of. Like, it was all just very forced and not true to the story, so.
Yes, I get that. What about you, B?
Well, I guess I'm weird. Somebody once said that I vomit my stories. God, I hate that word, but yeah, I vomit my stories onto the page. Somebody else says, "Oh, it's just stream of conscious writing that you do." And I'm like, okay. Years ago, I belonged to a write by email club, and a friend of mine and I would write, and we'd be on the phone at the same time talking, right? And I'd spend 5-10 minutes writing an entire story because they were just little bitty snippets of chapters, how we did this writing by email club. It would take her days to come up with an answer to what I had written in 5-10 minutes tops. And I'm like, why do you find this so hard? And she's like, well, I've got to think of every word to say. I've got to plan what's going to happen. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because that's how you write. And I'm like, it's not how I write. And she's like, well, of course you have to write like that. And I'm like, no, I don't. I've never done anything by the rules. I always do everything my way, the fast, easy, lazy way. And she says, you're not lazy. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I am probably the laziest person I know. If there's a faster, easier, more efficient way of doing something, I am going to figure it out because I don't want to waste the rest of my time doing something wrong 40 times when I could do it right the first time. I'm lazy.
Yeah, I get that.
So when I sit down to write, I don't think about it. I was going to ask you guys, do you, when your characters are talking, are they telling you the story? Are they telling you an outline? Are they telling you the words? Because when I write, I literally can sit here with my fingers on the keyboard and close my eyes and then open my eyes when I'm done typing and read the story. This part of me is nowhere in that story. It's all coming from back there.
For me, it's kind of like a detailed outline, a very, very, very detailed outline. What they tell me, they don't tell me exact words, but it's like the ideas of everything. And they tell me if they like it or not, what I come out with. But they tell me exactly what they want to happen in detail. But it's not like I can write down the outline and then come back to it later or anything like that.
Yeah.
I have to write then and there what they're telling me in detail. Because if I write down the outline that they're telling me, then when I come back to it, the ideas is completely gone. Even though it's right there, it's completely
They've moved on
out
and
of my
left
brain.
you.
Yep.
Yes.
They get mad at me.
Yes,
How about
I get
you,
that.
Isabelle?
Like, yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I don't quite, like, the characters don't quite tell me the words, but I sort of get this feeling of where the story goes, like this feeling of like where the story wants to go, where the characters want to go. And sometimes I don't even have a feeling. I just write blindly into the dark, see what comes up. And that's about it.
Okay. See, we all write differently. We all approach it differently. I tried the plotting thing one time. Yeah, I have 2 novels that I tried desperately to plot it out. I have the character profiles. I have the story points, the story arc, the major build to the horrid thing, and the wrap up. And I did all the plotting points. I did. Yep.
Right.
You notice there are no books out there. Yeah, I got about chapter 2, and it's like, the stories are great ideas. Do not get me wrong. But by the time I had plotted it all to death and wrote all of that stuff down, there was no story left.
Yep, I
I
get that.
can't go back. I do not write that way. This part of me can't go back and fill in the blanks that the characters have already told me and gone away.
Yeah, like I get that.
And I
like,
used the characters to tell the story when I outlined it, and there is no blanks to fill. I mean, there's lots of blanks and nothing to fill it in with.
Yeah.
The plotting
Like
doesn't
when
work for me.
yes, like it doesn't really work well for me either. And I think when I like plan like I don't know how to explain it. It makes me overthink and panic, and it makes my brain sort of feel as if it's being all squeezed into a tiny container. If that makes any sense at all. But this is the exact feeling I get whenever I outline. And so
How about you, DA? How does plotting make you feel?
Kind of it makes me feel lost, I guess. Because I can plot a story to death, but the moment I try and write, I'm like, what's going on? This isn't this isn't the way to go. Or when I'm writing, I've tried plotting before and I can start writing the plot, but then everything changes. Like literally everything changes like two bullet points in. And it's like, this isn't what I did, but it turned out better than what it could have turned out.
Yeah, well,
And then the whole story is completely changed from what it was originally, and it just doesn't work.
they have another term out there. You're not just a plotter or a planner or a pantser. There's one out there called plantser, which kind of mixes both the plotter and the pantser. Some people can go with that. And at times, maybe we all sort of lean that way. But I tell you what, just plotting is just not ever. I have a phobia against that word plot. It seems like my brain's like, just nope, nope, nope. Do you know over in the UK, they don't call it pantsing. You are
What do
not a
they call it?
pantser over there. You are a gardener.
oh, I've heard of that.
In other words, you let the weeds grow and they tend it. From what I've heard and figured out on Google.
Yeah, I think there's also one called the architect, which is planning.
Yeah,
I think
that's another one.
Yeah.
Dean Wesley Smith, we
invited him to come interview with us.
Yeah, we invited him to come interview with us, and he calls it writing in the dark.
Yeah, writing into the dark. He's got a book out about that, and he's got he's doing classes that you can sign up for, and we'll put that in the links down below that you can follow. But he wrote us a wonderful letter back when he said, no, he says, look, I'm just too busy. And this man is prodigious in his writing. That's why I wanted him to come. I'm the one that invited him. I saw him on an interview where he was talking, and my brain's always thought, this is how I write. Nobody else, I'm crazy, And then I watched him interview, and he kept talking about, you need to let the 2-year-old out to write, and you need to get out of its way. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. It's the 2-year-old back here that's writing. I'm not. I need to, take a vacation and let the 2-year-old write. Although mine isn't a 2-year-old, but yeah, for him it is. But it made perfect sense.
Yeah, I honestly think that's a kind of why I think that's sort of kind of like why I was listening to music 24/7 when writing Enchantria, because like listening to music just sort of drowned out like my, I guess, like inner critic, and it just sort of let the 2-year-old out because my brain was distracted by the music. And it's also why I have so many songs memorized now. So
You said you listen to music too, DA.
Oh yes. I listen to all different kinds of things. Yeah, I'm crazy. I guess in that aspect, my brain just tunes out the music, but the beat behind all the music is what gets me focused in. So like if it may be rap playing, it may be country, it may be pop, it may be rock.
See, now
It's
I
all
can't
different
do
kinds
any
of
of that
things.
because, like I told you, I sit, I can close my eyes, and the story, you know, appears on the screen. If I have music playing, all those lyrics are going to show up. Even if I do things that don't have lyrics, like elevator music, the lyrics will show up in what I write.
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and they will. So I can't have any kind of music. I can't have any noises. I wear noise canceling earphones so that I can't hear the rest of the world out there unless it's really noisy, like the storm going on out there. So,
For me, it's what shuts up the front part of my brain compared
same.
to the
the
back
back.
part of my brain where all the characters are talking. If I can get my front part of my brain to focus on something other than telling me everything I'm doing is wrong,
Yeah.
then I can let the children out to play, as you guys say, and let them write their story themselves.
I
Yeah.
guess I'm lucky I know how to shut me off.
I fear I don't.
Yeah, we're working on that. You and I are.
So, what brought you to
Isabelle
you
has
and
named her front person. What is he? I told her to go lock him in
Brian.
a closet. Yeah, there we go. Brian.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, I got his name when I misspelled the word brain, and I'd been trying to come up with a name for my inner critic for months, and I misspelled brain. And then I was like, oh wait, Brian, that's your name. Or
It's
something
like
like that, yeah.
Rumpelstiltskin's name. Yeah, once you know their
Yes.
name, you got control.
Yeah.
Does
Right.
yours have a name, DA?
No, I haven't even thought of naming him. I know it's a him.
Oh, well. See, I've been practicing this a lot longer than you guys about shutting this part of me off so I can get on with life. So yeah, for me it's second nature.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been at it a lot longer.
Yeah. And
The
like,
benefits
I
of
also did.
go on.
You go on.
No, I was just gonna say the benefits of getting old.
Yeah, like I actually also like wrote a sort of letter to my inner critic. Like it didn't start out as a letter. It's like there's this wonderful author tuber, Charlie Ray, and basically I was in like one of her, like she was doing a live streaming writing sprints, and I was there in the live chat and I asked her for a writing tip, and one of her tips was to like write down everything like horrible your inner critic says about you and your writing, and then like on the other side of like that piece of paper write down like all of the wonderful things about your writing, all the amazing things you've accomplished, and put it on your wall. And I was going to do that, but somehow I wrote down all of the terrible things my inner critic said about my writing. And when I was about to write the good parts, instead of writing like some wonderful parts about my writing, like I instead what came out was a letter to the inner critic. And it was then I realized that like I actually don't have the actual letter, so I don't remember exactly what I said. But something along the lines of like I sort of realized that everything the inner critic was saying was absolutely untrue and also absolutely ridiculous with no actual meaning, I guess.
That sounds
That makes
like what I
sense.
told you to do the other day when you were beating yourself up, DA. to
Oh
write down
yeah.
all the bad things and then tell it the opposite.
Yeah.
Prove to it that it's wrong. Show
I'm
it
not very good
otherwise.
at that, but
And then when you're done, set fire to the whole entire thing. I've
Yep.
done that.
Yes. Like that was also like sort of like what Charlie Ring said. Like if like write down all the bad things and rip it up.
Well, I put it
would've-
in the kitchen sink and set fire to it, but okay.
Like I was going to set I would have loved the idea of setting fire to it, but also it's not a good idea for me to be around like fire like that. I am like I could do it, but also I probably best not to, just in case.
You enjoy it too much? Well, see, I looked at it this way. I can set fire to it and look at it and say, you are nothing more than smoke and ash. This is what I think of you. You are not real. You are nothing more than smoke and ash. That's what I think of all of the bad, silly things.
Yeah, like I would have loved to like set fire to it, but also mainly I'm clumsy. And of course, I would not be setting fire to it in my room, but there's a rule in my room that's like, you are not allowed to light any of the candles I have in my room. I have candles just for decoration because they're pretty. I have this sort of flower-shaped one that is so pretty, and also scented candles. But the one rule is you cannot light any candle in this room. Because my room is full of notebooks and paper, scraps of paper, piles of books, wooden chest, wooden desk,
You are
wooden
a literal
drawers.
firebug palace. Yeah.
Complete fire hazard. Do not bring fire in my room. Like, it is not allowed.
Kindling, waiting for the spark. Yes.
Yes.
So what brought each of you into the world of writing?
Me, getting old, retiring. My husband the other day, he said to me, he says, you know what? He says, I think you wasted all those years going to college and doing all of those other things and getting all those pieces of paper. He says, you should have just sat at the desk and wrote your stories and become an author all those years ago instead of getting, like an associate's, a master's, getting your CDL, doing all these other things, computer science, nursing, all of that stuff that you have. He says, you should have just wrote stories. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, but if I hadn't done all those things, then what would I write about?
Yeah, I agree. Like life experiences, like they really do inspire like your writing. And I think Owen Colfer, he wrote to Artemis Fowl series. He had a writing tip for young writers that was like, don't just lock yourself away in your room and write. You need to go out, have fun, experience the world, and like fill up your creativity well, and only then will you have like stuff to write about.
It's great to read the books about other people doing things, but doing them is like way far from reading them. And yes, reading is a great escape.
Oh yeah.
But it should be a step towards doing.
Absolutely.
And me, now I'm old and I'm broken and I've been really mean to my body. So now I get to share all of my experiences. How about you?
What about? Oh, well, I guess. Well, I started writing when I was a kid, but it never turned into anything because I got to chapter 5 and then lost all my work. Like, I didn't have a printed out copy or anything like that. My computer crashed and I lost all my work. And it wasn't until a couple years back that I actually got into writing again. And it was because I guess the voices just wouldn't shut up. So I was like, I think I'll write again. I actually originally found a copy of some stuff I wrote over the years, just little bits here and there. And it was my best friend when I was growing up gave me the copy I gave her of the original story, the one that I got to chapter 5 on. She had a copy and I didn't remember that she had a
Wow.
copy. So that's what actually got me into writing again, is because I got to read what I had wrote. It was horrible work, horrible work.
But it's still, the idea was great.
I was in third grade when I wrote it. Horrible
Goodness
work.
for friends.
um Now it's like second nature. I love writing. I have, don't get me wrong, I still have my issues, but I am working on them. It is something I do on a daily now. What about you, Isabel?
How I got started writing. I'm pretty much sort of like you, except I didn't lose my work. I just completely lost interest in the story. But basically, ever since I was very little, I'd always had this idea for Enchantria. Like there was one good kingdom of light with guardians to protect it, and then one dark, evil, villainous kingdom with this twisted forest. And it was an idea I'd had for a very long time, and I'd also had the idea for as a villain for a very, very long time. And I tried writing it out when I was like, I don't know how old I was really, but I was really young, and by chapter 2, I just completely lost interest, and I never thought much about it until like the summer of 2023. I was like 10 years old. It was a really boring summer. I wasn't going on like summer vacation or anything. And by summer vacation, I mean like going off to a whole other country. I don't know, like play on the beach or whatever. And I was just very, very, very bored that summer, and I was desperate for something, anything to do. And I was just like, ugh, I have this book idea that I've had for many years. I might as well write it now because I have nothing else to do. This probably won't turn into anything, but I have nothing else to do, so I'm gonna write it.
What the hey? Give it a shot.
Right?
Yeah.
So do
Now,
you physically write, either one of you, or do you only do it on the computer? Or a
Uh,
mix?
I actually do a mix of both. I have this thick binder right here with everything or almost everything I've written so far on Autumn's Moon, plus the characters. I do all my character sheets on paper now because it helps me keep up with them better. But I'm trying to write out by hand because the editor portion of them keeps wanting to edit. So if I write it out by hand, there's no editing, there's no red marks on the screen or blue marks or anything like
yes.
that saying I need to reword something or the spelling's wrong. So writing it out by hand has been a godsend. Ever since I started doing that, I'm actually getting somewhere.
Yeah, you wrote like what, almost 4,000 words the other day?
Oh yeah, it was 4,438 words.
I was
And
like
that was,
blown away.
yeah.
How about you, Isabel? How do you write?
I do a mix as well. I would love to show you my notebook, but I don't have it in the room with me.
That's okay. We know you just relocated, so.
I actually haven't moved quite yet but we're moving very soon. We were supposed to move the other day, but moving all the stuff it has taken much longer than we have thought it would. But anywho, I do sort of
So
like
you do
a
physical
mix.
too?
Yes, because sometimes I just like I do like writing digitally because of course it's much faster. Fingers flying over the keyboard, but also I feel like there's just I don't know. There's something about writing it all down on papers. It's sort of like different, as DA said. Um, there I can't really just like go back and edit everything and reword this sentence for 15 times for like the 15th time. And I also do a lot. I also write down a lot of stuff in notebooks that's not the actual writing, but just ideas that came to me. Like, ooh, maybe this could happen. Ooh, wait, there's this interesting thing about the world. Let me like explore it a little. And so, yeah, I do sort of like a mix.
See, now me, I can only do the keyboard anymore because this part of my thumb, even though I can touch my fingers together, that thumb, this part of it works. This part down here doesn't like to bend, so I can't hold on to a pencil very well anymore. So I can use it to hit that backspace key, though. Space key. So yeah, I have to type all of mine. I can't hold on to a pencil anymore because of the arthritis in my hand.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I just type, and I guess I'm lucky because, like I said, when I type, I can close my eyes and just let the story tell itself, and then go back and read it and edit it. That's something else I do at the end of every writing session. I literally will go back, if not immediately, but the next day or a few hours later, and I'll have it read it to me, and I'll listen to it, and then I'll make minor edits. Like when I'm listening, does it pause at the wrong place? Does it not take enough time? And I have someone at the door. I'll be right back.
So, I guess this sort of wraps up our first episode of the Crazy Creatives, where we talk a little bit about, writing as pantsers and what writing means to us. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and that you stuck around to the end through all our rambling. And that you enjoyed getting to know a bit more about us, and we hope you will stick around for any future episodes.
Isabelle, DA, and I invite you to come back again in 2 weeks, where we're going to talk some more about being pantsers, gardeners, whatever you want to call us, stream of conscious writers, planters, whatever you want to give us a title. We don't care. We're still going to continue to write. And we'll be here next week in 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks is when we plan to do our broadcast. As we mentioned earlier, we invited Dean Wesley Smith, but he's super busy. We'll leave the links below to his information. We've also invited some other authors to come and interview, and we're not going to release that yet, but we have some things in the works. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, because that does help us and helps other pantsers out there find us. So you guys have a great week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy Halloween.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Hi, guys.